The server crashed at 3:47 a.m., and I was the only one who knew why. Not a technical glitch. Not a cyber attack. Me. Sitting in my cramped apartment with 3 monitors glowing in the darkness, watching 6 years of my work evaporate from Helix Dynamics' mainframe in real time. Every algorithm I'd written, every proprietary code sequence, every innovation that had made them millions gone. Replaced with elegant, functional shells that looked identical, but did absolutely nothing. Before we jump back in, tell us where you're tuning in from, and if this story touches you, make sure you're subscribed, because tomorrow, I've saved something extra special for you. The code I'd embedded 18 months ago, the day I first suspected something was wrong, was finally executing. My insurance policy. My nuclear option. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. Whoever this is, you picked a hell of a night, I answered, watching the progress bar hit 87%. Miss Reeves? This is Timothy Vance from Helix Dynamic Security. We're experiencing a critical system failure and need your immediate assistance. I let the silence stretch. They'd escorted me out of the building 6 months ago with a cardboard box and a security guard. Didn't even let me grab my coffee mug. I don't work there anymore, Mr. Vance. I believe you have my replacement. Tasha Monroe? She should be able to help you. Miss Monroe is... He paused, clearly uncomfortable. She's not responding. Your former supervisor, Derek Hollins, insisted we contact you. He said you're the only one who understands the core architecture. Derek. Of course it was Derek. 92% complete. My consulting rate is $5,000 an hour, Mr. Vance. Minimum 6 hours. Wire transfer before I leave my apartment. I hung up before he could respond. The thing about being invisible is that people forget you're watching. They forget you're listening. For 3 years, I was the senior systems architect at Helix Dynamics, working 16-hour days, sleeping in the office, bleeding myself dry to build something revolutionary. And for 3 years, Derek Hollins was my boyfriend, my partner, my supposed champion in a company that loved to underestimate women in tech. I thought I'd found someone who actually saw me. Stupid. The first crack appeared during a late night at the office, about 18 months ago. I'd come back from a client meeting in Boston, exhausted, ready to surprise Derek with his favorite takeout. I'd used my badge to access the executive floor. He'd gotten promoted to VP of Technology 6 months earlier, mostly thanks to my work, though his name was on the patents. I'd been fine with that. We were a team. His success was my success. That's what I told myself while I was busy being an idiot. His office light was on. I remember thinking how dedicated he was, how lucky I was to have someone who understood the grind. Then I heard the laugh. High-pitched, flirtatious. Not mine. I should have walked away. Instead, I stood in that hallway and listened to Derek explain my own code to someone else. My revolutionary neural network design. My breakthrough in quantum encryption integration. My life's work. Tasha, babe, you're brilliant, he said, his voice warm in a way he hadn't spoken to me in months. This modification to Vivian's algorithm is genius. Way more elegant than her original design. Well, she's a bit mechanical in her thinking, Tasha replied. I recognized her voice. She was a junior developer I'd mentored for 3 months. Taught her everything I knew. Your approach is much more intuitive. Our approach, Derek corrected smoothly. We make a good team. I stood there for 20 minutes, listening to them dissect my work, attribute my innovations to Derek, and plan how to present their findings to the board. 20 minutes while my entire reality reconstructed itself. Then I heard clothing rustle, a soft moan, and I finally walked away. But I didn't leave the building. That night, I went back to my workstation and started coding. Not the project I was assigned to. Something else. Something elegant and vicious and completely undetectable. A time bomb built into the very foundation of every system I designed for Helix Dynamics. Dormant. Waiting. I called it Medusa, because once it activated, it would turn everything to stone. Over the next 6 months, I watched Derek and Tasha's relationship develop. Watched him gradually edge me out of important meetings. Watched my project assignments get smaller, less critical. Watched Tasha get promoted, get credit, get everything I'd built. "You're being paranoid," my best friend Keisha had said when I first confided in her. "Derek loves you. You guys have been together 3 years. He hasn't touched me in 4 months," I'd replied, staring at my untouched wine. And today, Tasha presented my encryption protocol to the board. With Derek's enthusiastic endorsement, they gave her a $30,000 bonus. Did you say something? What would I say? Derek's name is on all the patents. Technically, according to company records, Tasha and Derek developed the protocol together. I'm just the senior architect who contributed to the team effort. Keisha had gone quiet. Viv, that's systematic erasure?
Yeah.
Welcome to tech while female. But I'm not the type to make a scene. I'm not the type to cry or rage or throw drinks at anyone. I'm the type who codes,
Who plans?
who builds invisible weapons and waits for the perfect moment to deploy them. The perfect moment came 4 months later, on a Tuesday. Derek called me into his office. The office that used to feel like our shared space, where we'd order pizza at midnight and dream about changing the world. Now it felt cold.
Corporate.
Foreign.
Viv, sit down.
"We need to talk." I sat, crossed my legs, waited. "You know how much I respect your work," he started, which is never a good sign. "You are instrumental in building Helix's core systems. But the company's evolving, and we need people who can evolve with it. Is this about the quantum mesh project? Because I have the prototype ready ahead of schedule. It's not about any one project." He leaned back in his expensive leather chair, the one I'd helped him pick out. "Your work has become predictable. We need fresh perspectives. Innovation. Tasha brings that energy. Tasha, who I trained. Tasha, who couldn't code a binary search tree 6 months ago. She's grown tremendously. And frankly, Viv, your attitude lately has been concerning. You've been territorial, resistant to collaboration." I almost laughed. Territorial. Because I objected to having my work stolen. So, what exactly are you saying, Derek? We're restructuring the architecture team. Tasha will be taking over as lead systems architect. You'll transition to a senior developer role, reporting to her. The room went very still. In the silence, I could hear the HVAC system humming, could hear Derek's expensive watch ticking, could hear my own heartbeat steady and calm. "I see. It's not personal, Viv. It's business. You'll still have a good position, good salary. When does this take effect?" "Next Monday. We'll make the announcement." I quit. Derek blinked. "What?" "I quit. Effective immediately." I stood up, smoothed my skirt. "I'll need my final paycheck and used vacation time and my personal items from my workstation." "Viv, don't be rash. You're upset, I understand, but..." "I'm not upset, Derek. I'm done." I looked at him, really looked at him, and wonder how I'd ever thought this man was special. He was just another mediocre man who'd found a smart woman to exploit. And Derek, for what it's worth, I hope you and Tasha are very happy together. His face went pale. "How did you?" Preparing and narrating the story took us a lot of time, so if you are enjoying it, like this video, it means a lot to us. Now back to the story.
Please.
"You two aren't as subtle as you think." I headed for the door, then paused. "Oh, and Derek, good luck with the quantum mesh project. I'm sure Tasha's fresh perspective will really bring it to life." I was out of the building within an hour, cardboard box in hand, security badge surrendered. They'd probably expected me to cry, to beg, to make a scene. Instead, I smiled at everyone, thanked the security guard who escorted me out, and drove home in silence. Then I went to work. The thing about being a systems architect is that you understand infrastructure. You understand how things connect, how systems depend on each other, how one small vulnerability can cascade into total failure. And when you've built the entire system yourself, you know exactly where all the pressure points are. I'd already coded Medusa, But that night I refined it, made it elegant, made it undetectable, made it devastating. Then I activated the 18-month countdown. I didn't do it for immediate revenge. I did it because I knew Derek. I knew he'd take credit for my quantum mesh project. I knew he'd present it as his and Tasha's triumph. I knew he'd ride that wave to a corner office and a 7-figure salary. And I knew that when the system collapsed, when every project based on my architecture suddenly revealed itself as an empty shell, he'd have nowhere to hide. But I didn't just plan revenge. That's too simple, too crude. While Helix Dynamics thought I was spiraling into obscurity, I was building something new. I called it Nexus Systems. 6 months is a long time when you're working 20-hour days. 6 months of draining my savings, maxing out credit cards, reaching out to every contact I'd made in 10 years in tech. 6 months of building something from nothing, fueled by rage and coffee and the crystal-clear certainty that I was going to succeed. I brought in Keisha as my CFO. She'd quit her corporate job the same day. I told her what I was planning. I recruited 3 other women who'd been systematically pushed out of their companies. Elena, a hardware specialist, Priya, a UX designer, and Sam, a security expert who'd been told she was too aggressive for client-facing roles. We built Nexus in secret, registered it in Delaware, operated out of a co-working space in Oakland, kept our heads down and our profiles low. We weren't building another tech company. We were building a weapon. A company designed to do everything Helix did, but better, faster, and with actual innovation instead of stolen ideas. Our first product was a quantum encryption system that made my original design look like a child's toy. Our second was a neural network architecture that could learn and adapt in real time. Our third was a distributed computing framework that could handle 10 times the load of anything currently on the market. We filed for patents. We locked down our IP. We made damn sure that no one, no boyfriend, no colleague, no mentor, could ever steal our work again. And then we waited. The notification came at 3:47 a.m., 6 months to the day after I walked out of Helix Dynamics. My phone buzzed, waking me from a restless sleep. The text was simple. Medusa activated. Systems failing. Authorization required to halt. I stared at it for a long moment, then typed back, "Proceed." Now, 43 minutes later, I was watching Helix Dynamics' entire infrastructure crumble in real time. Every system I'd built, every algorithm I'd designed, every line of code I'd written, all of it revealing itself as an elegant facade with nothing underneath. My phone rang again. Derek this time. I let it ring 4 times before answering.
Vivian.
Thank God. He sounded panicked, stripped of his usual smooth confidence. We need you. Everything's crashing. I don't know what's happening. Don't you? You're the VP of technology. You took credit for all these systems. Surely you can fix them. Silence.
Then this isn't funny, Viv.
We have clients, contracts, millions of dollars at stake. Ask Tasha. She's the lead systems architect now. I'm sure her fresh perspective will solve everything. Vivian, please. I'm sorry about how things ended. I'm sorry about everything. But right now, I need you to help me fix this. Derek. I kept my voice calm, almost gentle. Let me be very clear. You didn't just fire me. You stole my work, gaslit me about my own innovations, and replaced me with someone you were sleeping with. You systematically erased me from every achievement I created. Did you really think there wouldn't be consequences? What did you do? His voice had gone cold. I stopped doing your job for you. Every system I built for Helix had a dependency on me. My knowledge, my expertise, my constant maintenance and updates. Remove me and eventually everything falls apart. You removed me. Here we are. This is sabotage. This is illegal. I'll have you arrested. For what? I fulfilled my contract. I built exactly what Helix asked for. The fact that none of you understood what you were actually running? That's not my problem. That's your incompetence. I paused, letting that sink in. How's the quantum mesh project going, by the way? That was supposed to be your big launch next month, right? Your ticket to the C-suite. He hung up. 3 minutes later, my phone rang again. A number I recognized. Catherine Park, Helix's CEO. Miss Reeves. I'm prepared to offer you triple your former salary, immediate reinstatement as senior systems architect, and a formal apology from Mr. Hollins. We need you back. I don't work there anymore, Miss Park. Name your price. Whatever you want. You can't afford me anymore. I closed my laptop, ending my live view of their cascading system failures. But I appreciate the call. Have a good night. I blocked the number before she could respond. Then I opened my email and sent a message to our prearranged contact list. Journalists at TechCrunch, Wired, The Verge. The story was simple. Former architect builds revolutionary company after being pushed out by former employer. Human interest angle. All-female founding team. Technical angle. Quantum encryption systems that made current standards obsolete. By sunrise, we'd have 3 feature articles and a dozen interview requests. By next week, we'd have a dozen Fortune 500 companies requesting demos. By next month, we'd have the funding to scale Nexus into a major player. And Helix Dynamics? They'd be explaining to their board why their entire infrastructure was based on systems they didn't understand, maintained by a person they'd wronged, built on stolen work they could never reproduce. Revenge isn't a dish best served cold. It's best served with impeccable timing and devastating precision. 6 weeks later, I was standing in Nexus's new office space, 3 floors in a downtown Oakland high-rise with views of the bay, when Keisha knocked on my door. You need to see this, she said, holding her tablet. I took it from her. On the screen was an application for our newly posted senior developer position. I scanned the resume, 5 years of experience, solid technical skills, references from. I stopped. The name at the top of the application, Tasha Monroe. Is this a joke? I asked. No joke. She applied this morning. Professional resume, cover letter, the whole package. She has no idea who owns Nexus. I read the cover letter. It was polished, confident. She wrote about her experience at Helix Dynamics, her role as lead systems architect, her innovative work on quantum encryption protocols. My quantum encryption protocols. The ones she'd taken credit for. She's listing her work as her own achievements, Keisha said quietly. Every single major project. She's claiming she designed them. I set the tablet down and looked out at the San Francisco skyline. Somewhere across the bay, Derek was probably having a very bad day. Helix had lost 3 major clients in the past month. Their stock price had dropped 40%. Catherine Park had been forced to resign. The company was in freefall, and according to industry gossip, they were desperately trying to reverse engineer systems they'd never understood in the first place. And now Tasha, who'd stolen my work, stolen my boyfriend, stolen my career, was trying to get a job at my company. The audacity was almost impressive. What do you want to do?
Keisha asked.
I picked up the tablet again, studying Tasha's smiling headshot. She looked confident, successful, exactly like the type of talented developer any tech company would be lucky to have. She had no idea that the woman reading her application was the same woman whose career she destroyed. A slow smile spread across my face. Schedule an interview, I said. First thing Monday morning. Keisha's eyes widened. You're kidding. Do I look like I'm kidding? Viv, what are you planning? I handed back the tablet. Tasha Monroe wants a job at Nexus Systems. Let's give her exactly what she deserves. The next 3 days, I did my research. Not just on Tasha's work history, I already knew that story, but on her current situation. It didn't take much digging. Tech is a small world, and people talk. Tasha had lasted exactly 4 months as Helix's lead systems architect before being fired. Officially, it was part of company-wide layoffs following their catastrophic system failures. Unofficially, according to my sources, she'd been unable to maintain or troubleshoot any of the systems she'd claimed to design. When the infrastructure collapsed, she'd been exposed as exactly what she was, a competent junior developer who'd been in over her head, propped up by stolen work and Derek's patronage. Derek himself had been demoted. Not fired, he was too connected for that, but stripped of his VP title and pushed into a middle management role in a division that no longer existed. Last I heard, he was job hunting, but his reputation had taken a hit. Word was out that Helix's golden boy had been running on someone else's code. Karma had already started its work. But I wasn't satisfied with karma. I wanted justice. The specific, personal, devastating kind. Monday morning arrived cold and clear. I dressed carefully. Black suit, minimal jewelry, hair pulled back. Professional. Authoritative. Not the exhausted, overlooked architect who'd left Helix in a cardboard box. I was the CEO now. I looked like it. Tasha arrived at 9 a.m. sharp. I watched her on the security camera as she checked in with reception, smoothing her dress nervously. She'd dressed to impress. Designer outfit, perfect makeup, the confident posture of someone who thought they were about to nail this interview. She had no idea. I let her wait in the conference room for exactly 7 minutes. Long enough to make her slightly anxious, not long enough to be rude. Then I walked in, Keisha and Elena behind me. The moment Tasha saw me, all color drained from her face. "Hello, Tasha," I said pleasantly, taking a seat across from her. "Thank you for applying to Nexus Systems. I'm Vivian Reeves, CEO and founder. I believe we've met before." She opened her mouth, closed it, opened it again. No sound came out. "These are my colleagues, Keisha Chun, our CFO, and Elena Rodriguez, our Chief Technology Officer. They'll be sitting in on this interview." I opened her application file, taking my time. "Now, let's discuss your qualifications. I see here that you were the lead systems architect at Helix Dynamics for 4 months. That's quite a short tenure. Can you tell us about that experience?" Tasha's hands were shaking. She folded them in her lap, trying to compose herself. There were company-wide restructuring issues. Budget cuts. And before that, you were a senior developer for 6 months? Yes. Interesting. Because according to your resume, you single-handedly designed and implemented a revolutionary quantum encryption protocol during that time. That's quite an achievement for someone who was still a junior developer when you started. She swallowed hard. I had support from the team. The team? I leaned back, studying her. Would that team include me by any chance? Since I was your direct supervisor for 3 months and personally taught you everything you know about encryption architecture. Silence. Let me be very clear, Tasha. I'm not interested in humiliating you. I'm interested in the truth. So, let's try this again. Did you design the quantum encryption protocol listed on your resume? I contributed to it. I worked on improvements. Did you
Design it.
Her voice came out barely above a whisper.
No.
Who did? She looked at me with something like hatred mixed with fear. You did. That's right. I designed it. I coded it. I tested it. I documented it. And you presented it to the board with Derek's endorsement and took credit for my work. Is that an accurate assessment? She didn't answer. I'll take your silence as confirmation. I closed the folder. Now, here's what's going to happen. You're going to leave this office, and you're never going to apply for another position at any company I'm associated with. You're going to remove every single reference to my work from your resume and portfolio. And if I ever hear that you're taking credit for someone else's innovations again, I will personally make sure that every tech company in the Bay Area knows exactly what kind of professional you are. Are we clear? Tasha stood up, her chair scraping loudly against the floor. Her face was red, tears gathering in her eyes. You're a vindictive bitch. No, I said calmly. I'm a woman who built something extraordinary, had it stolen, and then built something even better. You're a mediocre developer who slept with her boss and thought that was a career strategy. There's a difference. She grabbed her bag and rushed toward the door, then stopped, turning back. Derek said you were crazy. He said you were paranoid and difficult and impossible to work with. He said. Derek, I interrupted, is a man who's about to lose his job because he can't do the work he took credit for. Derek is a man whose career is circling the drain because he built a house of cards on someone else's foundation. And Derek is a man who threw away a brilliant partner because he was too insecure to stand next to someone smarter than him. So forgive me if I don't particularly care what Derek said. Tasha left without another word. The conference room fell silent. Elena let out a low whistle.
That was brutal, she said.
She deserved it, Keisha added. I stood up, walking to the window. Outside, San Francisco glittered in the morning sun. Somewhere out there, Derek was probably in some soulless office, doing work he didn't understand. Somewhere out there, Tasha was probably crying in her car. Somewhere out there, Helix Dynamics was hemorrhaging money and talent and credibility. And here I was, CEO of a company that was about to revolutionize the industry, surrounded by brilliant women who'd been underestimated, overlooked, and pushed aside, and who'd come back stronger. That's not revenge, I said quietly. That's justice. 3 months later, Nexus Systems closed our series of funding round at $45 million. We hired 20 new employees, all carefully vetted, all brilliant. We launched our first major product, a quantum encryption system that became the industry standard within 6 weeks. And we made it a company policy. No stealing credit, no toxic workplace politics, no exploitation. If you did good work, your name went on it. Period. I never heard from Derek again. I heard about him, though. He'd been forced out of Helix during their bankruptcy proceedings. Last I checked, he was working as a mid-level consultant at a firm in Sacramento. Not broke, not destroyed, but definitely not the tech world superstar he'd envisioned himself becoming. That felt right. Not too harsh, not too merciful. Just proportional. Tasha disappeared from the tech scene entirely. I didn't bother tracking her. She wasn't worth my attention anymore. But sometimes, late at night, when I'm alone in my office looking at the company I built from ashes, I think about that moment in Derek's office when he told me I was being replaced. When he tried to make me small, tried to erase me, tried to reduce 6 years of brilliant work to territorial and predictable. He'd wanted me to disappear, to fade away quietly while he and Tasha took credit for everything I'd created. Instead, I built an empire. And that right there is the best revenge of all. The interview was scheduled for Thursday at 2 p.m. I'd deliberately chosen the smallest conference room, the one with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city, where the afternoon sun would be directly in her eyes while I sat in shadow. I arrived early, positioning myself in the chair that faced away from the glare. Lauren had tried one last time to talk me out of this. This is personal, she'd said that morning. Personal clouds judgment. Everything worth doing is personal, I'd replied. Now, watching Vanessa walk through our glass doors in her designer suit and confident stride, I felt my pulse quicken. She looked exactly as I remembered, polished, beautiful, completely self-assured. She had no idea she was walking into a trap. My assistant led her to the conference room. I stood as she entered, extending my hand with a professional smile that didn't reach my eyes. Miss Chun, thank you for coming. Oh my God. Her face went white. The portfolio folder slipped from her fingers, scattering papers across the table. Natalie. I let the silence stretch, watching her squirm. Finally, I gestured to the chair across from me. Please sit down. I didn't know. She was stammering now, all that confidence evaporating like morning dew. The company profile didn't say. I had no idea you were
The founder and CEO?
I finished for her, my voice honey-sweet. Yes, well, I prefer to keep a low profile. Bad experiences with former colleagues, you understand. She flinched.
Good.
Natalie, listen, I need to explain. You're here for a job interview. I interrupted, sliding a copy of her resume across the table. Let's keep this professional, shall we? Tell me, what made you interested in TechSmith Solutions? The company name made her blink. Of course, she'd been so focused on the opportunity, she hadn't done her homework. TechSmith Solutions was the software company we'd just acquired, The one Derek had been trying to pitch to investors for months before I'd swooped in and bought it out from under him. I heard great things about the growth potential, she managed, but her voice was shaking. From Derek? I asked innocently. Oh, wait, you probably heard he lost the deal.
Such a shame.
He'd worked on that pitch for what, 6 months? Her hands were trembling now. She clasped them together in her lap, trying to maintain composure. Natalie, please. What happened at Whitmore? Derek told me you two had broken up mutually. He said you were already seeing someone else. He said. He lied. My voice was ice. But you wanted to believe him, because it was convenient. Because it meant you could take what you wanted without guilt. That's not fair. Fair. I laughed, and it was a harsh sound. Let me tell you about fair, Vanessa. Fair would have been you coming to me woman to woman when you developed feelings for my boyfriend. Fair would have been Derek being honest instead of sabotaging my career, so he could eliminate me from both his professional and personal life in one move. Fair would have been someone at that company having the spine to tell me what was happening behind my back. She was crying now, mascara running down her cheeks. Part of me felt a savage satisfaction. Part of me just felt tired. I didn't know, she whispered. I swear, Natalie, I didn't know about the work stuff. Derek said your termination was completely separate from us, that it was performance-based. And you believed him because it was easier than admitting you were complicit in destroying someone's life. I stood up, walking to the window. The city sprawled below us, indifferent to our small human dramas. Here's what's going to happen, I said, turning back to face her. You're going to leave this office. You're going to go home. And you're going to tell Derek exactly who owns the company he's been desperately trying to partner with for the last 3 months. Her eyes widened. You own TechSmith? I own 15 companies, Vanessa. TechSmith was just the latest acquisition. And Derek's current firm? They've been courting me for weeks, trying to secure an investment deal. Funny thing about being anonymous. People don't know whose money they're chasing. I pulled out my phone, opening an email chain. These are messages from your fiancé, begging my investment firm to consider his proposals. He's offered me dinner, golf outings, even tickets to that charity gala you two are hosting next month. All this time, he's been trying to impress someone he helped destroy. I forwarded the emails to her phone. She stared at the screen, her face ashen. What do you want? She asked finally. Revenge? To humiliate us? I want you to understand something, I interrupted. When you and Derek decided I was expendable, you didn't just cost me a job. You cost me my reputation, my confidence, my trust in people. I spent 3 months on my sister's couch, convinced I was unemployable. I applied to 47 positions and got rejected from all of them because Derek had poisoned the well so thoroughly that my name was blacklisted across the industry. I sat back down, leaning forward, so she had to meet my eyes. I rebuilt myself from nothing. I used my severance package and my savings to start consulting, working 18-hour days, sleeping 4 hours a night because I was too angry to quit and too terrified to fail. Every client I landed, every success I had, it wasn't despite what you and Derek did. It was because of it. You made me ruthless. Vanessa was openly sobbing now. I'm sorry. God, Natalie, I'm so sorry. If I could go back. You can't. I stood, gathering her scattered papers and handing them back to her. But you can go forward with this knowledge. I'm everywhere now. Every deal Derek pitches, I'll be there. Every opportunity you chase, I might be the one deciding your fate. You'll never know when you're interviewing with one of my companies or pitching to one of my partners. You'll spend years looking over your shoulder, wondering if I'm watching. That's cruel, she whispered. That's reality. Welcome to the world you created. I opened the conference room door. My assistant will show you out. Oh, and Vanessa? Tell Derek his proposal is rejected. All of them. Forever. She left, and I watched through the glass as she practically ran to the elevator, still crying. Lauren appeared in the doorway moments later. Feel better? No, I admitted. But I feel something. Justice. Maybe. Or maybe just tired. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. This is Derek. Vanessa just told me. We need to talk. I deleted it without responding. 3 hours later, I was in my office reviewing quarterly projections when my assistant buzzed. There's a Derek Patterson here to see you. He doesn't have an appointment, but he's insisting. Send him in. He looked worse than I'd imagined he would. Haggard, desperate, angry. The moment the door closed, he exploded. What the hell, Natalie? You're seriously going to tank my career over our breakup?
I didn't look up from my laptop.
Your career is tanking because you're mediocre, Derek. I'm just no longer pretending otherwise. You can't do this. I'll sue you for what? Making business decisions? I don't owe you anything. I don't owe you meetings, investments, or opportunities. I certainly don't owe you courtesy after what you did. He slammed his hand on my desk. I made you. Without me bringing you to Whitmore, you'd still be working at some no-name startup. I finally looked at him, really looked at him, and felt nothing. No anger, no pain, no residual love. Just a mild contempt for someone so delusional. You made me, I repeated softly. Derek, you stole my work, took credit for my deals, and then orchestrated my firing when I became a threat to your advancement. The only thing you made was an enemy. And unlike you, I'm actually good at what I do.
His face was red now.
You're bitter and vindictive. I'm successful. There's a difference. I'll tell everyone what you're doing. I'll make sure everyone knows you're using your position to settle personal scores. Go ahead, I said calmly. Tell everyone that the woman you betrayed and got fired is now so powerful she can destroy your career with a single phone call. I'm sure that'll make you look great. He opened his mouth, closed it, opened it again. Finally, he said, I loved you.
I did.
But you were always so focused on work, so driven. Vanessa understood me better. Vanessa understood that dating you meant advancement, just like you understood that removing me meant opportunity. You two deserve each other. So that's it? You're going to ruin us. I closed my laptop, standing to face him. I'm not going to do anything, Derek. I'm going to build my empire and live my life. If your career crumbles in the process, that's not my problem. It's the natural consequence of burning bridges and making enemies. You should have thought about that before you decided I was disposable. Natalie, get out of my office. He left, and I watched through the window as he walked to his car, shoulders slumped in defeat. Lauren came in a few minutes later with 2 glasses of whiskey. Big day. Exhausting day, I corrected, taking the glass. Do you feel vindicated? I thought about it, swirling the amber liquid. I feel free. For months, they've lived in my head rent-free. Now, they're just 2 people who made bad choices that caught up with them. I don't need to destroy them. They'll do that themselves. Very mature, Lauren said with a smirk. Though I did enjoy the part where you made her cry. I'm not proud of that. Liar. I laughed despite myself. Okay, maybe a little proud. My phone buzzed again. Another text from Derek. I'm withdrawing all my proposals. Just leave us alone. Please. I showed it to Lauren. She raised her glass. To leaving them alone? To moving forward. I corrected. We clinked glasses as the sun set over the city, painting the sky in shades of orange and gold. Tomorrow I had meetings with 3 Fortune 500 companies. Next week, we were announcing our Series B funding. Next month, we'd be opening offices in 2 new cities. Somewhere out there, Derek and Vanessa were probably fighting, probably scared, probably realizing that actions have consequences. But that wasn't my concern anymore. I'd won not by destroying them, but by becoming someone they could never touch. The best revenge wasn't seeing them suffer. It was building something so magnificent they could only watch from the outside, knowing they'd had a chance to be part of my story and had chosen to write themselves out of it.
My phone buzzed one last time.
A text from my sister. Saw your company in the news. So proud of you. You're amazing. I smiled, typing back. Thanks. I finally believe it myself.
And I did.
Up next, you've got two more standout stories right on your screen. If this one hit the mark, you won't want to pass these up. Just click and check them out. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any upload from us.